What you're looking for. Our sales staff has over 50 years of experience to help guide you through your purchase. Come and visit Coin and Bullion Reserves today and build your collection with confidence.
Tired of flipping through channels and finding nothing good? Introducing Lucid Stream TV. Get over 2,000 live streaming channels. Catch every game of the season with over 100 sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN+, the NFL Network, and Red Zone. Even pay-per-view events. Watch local network channels from most major markets throughout the country. Fox, ABC, CBS, and NBC. It's more than sports. Lucid Stream TV offers premium movie channels like HBO, Cinemax, Stars, 200+ entertainment and news networks, or watch 10,000 movies on demand, including recent theater releases. Just $41.99 a month when you use the ESPN-NW promo code at checkout. Watch on up to 5 devices at the same time. Perfect for sharing with family and friends. Lucid Stream TV gives you everything you want for less. Cut the cord, not the fun. To score Lucid Stream TV, go to ESPNPC.com and click on the Lucid Stream TV logo.
At Brock Lawn and Pest Control, we're proud to be awarded the distinction of being Quality Pro certified.
Our technicians have passed rigorous training in eco-friendly application and prevention of pest treatments.
Part of the program is the practice of integrated pest management.
IPM's goal is to prevent pests from ever entering your home. It includes inspection, prevention, education, and, when necessary, application.
We're proud to be Quality Pro certified.
Brock Lawn and Pest Control, the standard and level of trust.
Signworks, a business serving businesses since 1985. Everything from signs and banners, vehicles and boats, magnetic and real estate signs, contractor signs, and much more. Signworks can do large format, full color printing too. Signworks, a real professional in the business world. Call Signworks at 785-8899. Signworks, 850-785-8899.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lincoln, powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
There's no need to fear.
The Underdogs are here. The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air.
What time is it?
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
What's going on, Northwest Florida? You are now riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. As you can see, the gang is ready to go this afternoon, taking your calls and texts. We are your home for the Mosley Dolphins, and we've got Kyle Wright in the building with us. Leanne Swartzen, Truber, the coach's daughter, and Chef Ross back for another edition of the Afternoon Underdogs. We'll be telling you all about the 3rd annual Pops Pig Pick and Barbecue at some point in time during the show today, and we'll let Ross take a little time to explain that pool tournament a little bit more as well. It's $20 for tickets, for the dinner tickets, and then $15 to get involved in the pool tournament. Great show lined up for you today for the most part, right? Alan Watts is going to be joining us today at 4:20. We're going to get back to our segment with RJ at 5:20. We'll be going around the track with him, getting you guys all caught up on what's going on in the world of NASCAR. Kyle, Mosley and Arnold, big game. Actually, recap. Give the people a recap of Niceville and Mosley. We went pretty deep in depth with it yesterday with Banji, and he's going to join us at 4:45 today to be the guest picker for this week. Chef Ross will be making picks as well. But your thoughts, though, your personal thoughts from the Niceville-Mosley game as you were on the call.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, big win. I actually excited to have Banji on today because he and I got into not necessarily a Twitter war with some people, but
were y'all on the same side or different sides?
We were on the same side
okay,
because people
cool.
like somebody said that Mosley pulled a big upset, and I went on there and I was like, listen, I understand by the rankings and everything, that's what it was, but to us around here, we're not viewing this as an upset. This was an expectation. Like Mosley. We expected to win that game. We expected to, honestly, Mosley should have won by more from a certain perspective. Now,
there's no, you won't get an argument from me about that.
Yeah.
If you feed LoJack a couple more times, if there's not a couple of turnovers there,
right.
I mean, it seems like Mosley was driving every single time they had the ball.
Yeah, I mean, Sammy Freitas made a very unorthodox mistake. Not unorthodox, but uncharacteristic mistake for him. It threw a really bad interception, maybe one of the worst he's thrown since he's been at Mosley. Or otherwise, Niceville's probably never in that game to begin with. But everything happens the way it does, and Mosley ended up needing a field goal kind of at the last minute to end up pulling away, we'll say. But honestly, there was some parts of the game where I was frustrated. I think David and I were not necessarily on the same page with it, but we would look at each other during like our short commercial breaks because there's not many of them.
30 seconds.
Yeah, and there's not many of them. But we would look at each other and we're like, wow, what's going on? Like, this is so, like, because Niceville was doing certain things that, to people that aren't coaches, to us, we're fans, number one, right? But we are analysts up in the booth. And Niceville was having a lot of success running the same play 7 or 8 times in that game. And we're like, okay, well, there's a certain personnel group where they run that play every single time. And Mosley, if they could just stop that play, they'll be fine. And they ended up stopping that play, and I don't think Niceville had a very good time after that, is what I'm saying. Now, Niceville took advantage of Mosley's top 2 safeties being out.
Right.
Obviously, Landon Hawthorne was out with injury, and we know Talon Moore is out for the season. Niceville took advantage of 3rd and long. They converted some things that, honestly, I'm not sure they convert with our starting safeties. But Mosley also had the box stacked because they were going to stop Connor Matthews. They weren't going to get beat by Connor Matthews. But all in all, it was a great game Friday night, and I look for tomorrow night to be just as good.
Yeah, Mosley and Arnold, that'll be 7 p.m. kick. Coverage will start right here on ESPN Northwest Florida at 6 p.m. It'll be a little bit different. We'll have a best of Afternoon Underdog show from 4 to 6, and then Kyle Wright, myself, and Robert Fleming. He doesn't know this yet. He knows that he's coming in at 6:30. But hey, Robert, if you do happen to be listening, we're going to get you in with us at 6 p.m. tomorrow. If you can't make that happen, I'm sure that me and Kyle can bump our gums for 30 minutes by ourselves.
Oh, yeah, no problem there.
We can make that happen. No more cowbell is a comment that we have from Kyle Albritton. So go ahead. That sounded...
See, it wouldn't have happened had he not said that.
Exactly. Sometimes you push the cow and it don't tip over. It fights back.
Are you calling me a cow?
No, I'm talking about the cowbell that you're ringing there. And Chef Ross has
5 dinner plates at the barbecue, and you can have it back.
Leanda, your Bulldogs took on the Bulldogs last week, and it was 41, the real Bulldogs, the Georgia Bulldogs, 41-31 was the final. Were you surprised from anything that transpired in that game?
Yeah, I mean,
and we don't ring the cowbell when nothing good is happening, right?
You're right.
All right.
You're right. I rang it a few times, and that was an improvement over the last several weeks. But no, I just saw some things that gave me hope for next year. We may not win another game this season. Very realistically, that may happen. But I saw some things I liked, and I saw that Coach Levy was willing to take some chances and make some changes and try some new things. So that's always good. We'll get there. But, hey, our women's soccer team is number 3 in the country. So I've got that going for me, right?
We take our wins, baby.
Do you have any issue with, Mississippi State soccer or maybe Ole Miss soccer? Is there anything that you want to dive into there?
Not today.
All right, not today.
Pleading the fifth.
Yeah.
Boring.
Very, very boring.
It's my family.
Chef Ross, what's the biggest game on the college football docket, the agenda this week that you're looking forward to? When we get to the pick'ems, right? It's on your very back page there. What game are you looking forward to the most?
Honestly, the Georgia-Texas game is looking good. The spread has actually moved up to like 5.5 now.
All right, yeah. So what about for you, Kyle?
I'll be honest, man. This entire slate, everybody was talking about last weekend, October 12th, but this weekend has the exciting slate. And, I mean, I'll be hooked at a TV all day. Some of the underrated matchups, dude, Miami at Louisville. Miami is 2-8 coming off the bye in the last 10 years. So we'll see how that game goes. Louisville kind of needs a big win in order to stay in contention in the ACC. But I'm looking at that Michigan-Illinois game. Illinois breaking out the 1920 uniforms on them for this game. It's going to be
those
fun.
things look sharp,
I think
too.
that's going to be a good game, actually.
Illinois is sneaky good, too, this year.
Yeah.
They are.
I mean, LSU at Arkansas, you're talking upset alert right there.
Yeah, I almost picked Arkansas, but...
have you already made your
away
pick?
the storm.
We still got
Okay.
She's just kidding.
33 minutes. Just kidding.
Just may not have picked
Not
Arkansas.
so fast, my friend.
Not. Yes.
What about for you, Leanne? Give, Illinois, Michigan, that's a good pick there. Is there another game on this list or outside of the list? Because I know that you like to have that the big list of all of the college games where all they're going to be playing, which I enjoy seeing that, but I can't pick all of them games. I got too many pick'ems going.
Thank you for not making me pick FSU Duke.
I know that this game doesn't have a lot of meaning to a lot of people, but the Nebraska-Indiana game I'm curious about, because Indiana, I think it's the first time in history of the program that they've started 6-0.
I think 5-0 was the first time in their history. It's been like 64 years or something like that.
I thought it was Windiana.
That's what we call it whenever we're talking about it on the pick'em.
Well, Raekwon Jones, it was from Mosley, played for Indiana, and it was during that time frame when he was there that they really started coming into their own. But
we got to watch him play on the field actually, and then Dave almost got murdered that night, so that was fun.
Oh yeah, man,
Jacksonville, Florida, baby. My best piece of advice: traveling to Jacksonville, Florida. Get a hotel where the entry to your room is on the interior of the hotel.
Right, instead of facing the parking lot.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be called a motel.
Thank you for not making me pick FSU Duke. I don't even have to watch that game this week, so it's going to be great. I don't have to pick it, don't have to watch it.
You are welcome about that, because whenever I was putting the pick'em together, I was just going through the ranked games at that point in time. Didn't even think about Florida State and Duke. And then whenever we were talking about it on Tuesday, Tyler was like, "Oh yeah, Florida State and Duke's play." I'm like, "Oh boy, that's a tough game." Give me your thoughts there. We're just killing time right here. What's your thoughts on Florida State and Duke? And that's kind of what Florida State's been doing this year, just killing time.
Yeah, Florida State's 22-0 all time against Duke, and I have a feeling that's probably going to change tomorrow night. There is a small sense of optimism around the offense under Brock Glenn. He had a decent game against Clemson, threw 2 touchdown passes, which is half of what DJ had all season, and against the best defense we've played. So there's a small sense of optimism about the offense going into that game and going down the stretch. Look, Florida State's gauntlet here is they've got at Duke tomorrow night. They had Clemson last week, at Miami next week, and then the week after that it's Notre Dame. So if they can get through that with 1 or 2 losses and finish this season at 5-7 after having the start that they did, obviously it's a moral victory, but I think that would say a lot about the coaching staff and probably get Norvell in more trouble than people think, because he made the decision so late to make the switch.
That's it's been a tough situation for Florida State football all the way around, but they do have the number 1 lady golfer and the number 1 male golfer this year. So just like Mississippi State soccer, Florida State golf, baby. We'll take anything we can get, right?
I do want to say about the whole DJ situation. I haven't been able to be here in a while. I haven't been here in
Why is that?
Well,
faking injuries.
The reason I'm sitting so far from the table, I'm faking injuries to stop the clock. Stop the offense's momentum.
All right, Ole Miss.
Hotty-toddy, baby.
Yeah, no kidding.
Can I get a high five for Hotty-totty?
That was bad. That was so
there we
bad.
go. No
F8.
cowbell.
Got a Hotty-toddy high five. Listen, I said this to you in the car on the way here, and I said this on the Know It All podcast, where you can, anywhere you get them. You can listen to it there. Shameless plug.
No free ads.
No free ads. That's right. No free ads.
Unless you join the Bay County or the PCB Chamber for a month, and I think we have some sort of a package. You can call 850-215-6290. We'll help you out there.
Who do they ask for? Randy Williams.
Yeah, if you're doing one of them, do that. If you want to spend some money, holla at your boy, David Hayes.
I think there's a sense of humanity to it, and I started thinking about this a little bit differently than a lot of people do, but think about you have a kid, and we're talking about DJ Uiagalelei in this situation. He is going to be a 6th-year senior. He's got one last shot to make it to the pros, and that's at Florida State. And it's got to be hard when somebody puts their final year of trust in you to pull that rug out from underneath them. Mm-hmm. And I think that had a lot to do with why it took so long for DJ to get pulled by FSU. Now, do I think that's the right decision? This is a business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it's not like the offense was going to be high power. I think Florida kind of faced the same thing with Graham Mertz, DJ Lagway. Now, I think Graham Mertz is a great quarterback, and we're going to see just how not great DJ Lagway is going down the stretch, because Florida fans, you've been begging for this.
Yeah.
And now you got it for the rest of the season. And the only reason they were in some of those games was because of Graham Mertz. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We're going to see how that happens for Florida State, but I think as far as like benching seniors, benching upperclassmen, and getting young guys in there like everybody wanted, I think there's a sense of humanity in that, man, and maybe that had a lot to do with why it took so long to pull the rug out from underneath DJ.
I do think that you bring a very valid point to the table with that. On the flip side of that, though, in this world of transfer portal class, if you're not, especially if you're a senior, if you're not producing, we've got to see what we have here in the building with us to see what we have for next year. Otherwise, we've got to get into the portal, or we've got to go, find a great recruit. It's so tough in college football, so it's much more like the NFL, where if you're not producing, I'm sorry that it's your senior year, but you should have watched more film and worked harder.
I agree.
I mean, DJ's got zero time spent in FSU except for this year.
Right.
So it's not like FSU owes him anything, not like they brought him up.
Of course.
Let's let him ride out. No, he came in knowing exactly what he needed to do, didn't do any of exactly what he needed to do, or very little of exactly what he needed to do.
When the offensive line's bad, it almost doesn't matter who you have at quarterback.
Yeah, that makes it hard.
Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson. When you have a bad, look at Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
The dude's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but he's probably never going to win a Super Bowl just because they won't give him an offensive line.
He needs to get out of
this
there.
point.
Their defense played good the other night. Their defense was the only reason they won. Yeah.
That was a very uneventful Sunday night football game. It's like that Sunday night football game should have been a Thursday night football game of last year. And at what point can we just start flexing out, even if it's this early in the season? Who wanted to watch the Bengals and the Giants when you have so many other good games on the slate?
So the NFL tried to flex the Commanders-Ravens game to Sunday night football, and CBS blocked it.
Okay, so CBS and Fox can block them.
Yeah, so I believe so. Remember, because the every game's a free agent rule came out. There just has to be 2 or 3 week notice, I think. So that came out, and then
it didn't take 2 or 3 weeks. It took 2 weeks of the NFL season to realize, Bengals Giants isn't something I really care about watching this year.
Collinsworth's like, no.
And we can kind of empathize with that, right? Because you have some games where, when the schedule comes out and we don't, it's the same team over and over for us. But when it's Mosley versus Niceville versus Mosley versus Milton, there's an element there, especially in the environment over there at Tommy Oliver Stadium, where you're like, I can't wait for this. And then when it's Mosley versus Milton, it's like, well, by the third or fourth quarter, it's going to be like, all right, boys, wrap it up, get that clock running.
That game at Thursday night game, by the way, next week in Gulf Breeze. Yeah. That's going to be probably, I'm not, obviously.
I'm more excited about this week than I am next week.
That's a great way to put it. We have to drive over 2 hours to that game next week, and it's going to, I don't know what kind of, I don't know if it's going to be.
Throw you in the back of the truck, big dog.
Other than the paycheck, it's going to be, who knows if it'll be worth the drive, is where we're getting at, right?
Oh, as far, like if you're a fan traveling for that game.
Yes, right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but for us though, it's still fun every single time. There's no doubt about that.
Course.
It's just once the game gets out of hand, it's like, all right.
Y'all have fun. Y'all don't need an excuse to have fun or a reason.
That's a good point, Leanne. She probably knows better than anyone.
Yeah, and I was listening to y'all last weekend, and I will say I felt like I was at the game. Y'all did a really good job of describing everything, but I was like, my heart rate started going real fast as David started talking so fast, and he's all excited. And you guys, y'all doing good.
We do
impressed.
Great. It's fun getting tagged in. It's fun getting tagged in videos and listening back.
Yeah.
And especially the extra points. Shout out to Frank Wright, but he'll tag us in like the kickoffs or the field goals, and he's like, the call by David Hayes and Kyle Wright. I'm like, I'm not in that video, Frank. I said, no, it's a kickoff video. I'm not in that video.
Well, Frank, next time, make sure that you get the color part of that clip
There's no
in there.
color to a kicked-off touchback.
Sometimes there is.
I'm just breaking down like, okay, now the defense is coming back out. Here's what they have to do better this time around. That's really what it is. But
I think one of my favorite parts of last Friday, though, was the Niceville people who were watching the Mosley football broadcast on YouTube, and just how most of them were pretty nice. And then we started asking for shout outs. And then yeah, exactly. Some people call it Nice Tucky, but that is not me. I call you Niceville. I call you by your proper name, your street name.
We got a lot of good feedback from the Niceville people last week. It was cool. A lot of people texting us, go Eagles, which wasn't great, but David did read one of them on the air.
And then I told him no more. Then so they said, go Niceville. And like, all right, I'll read you this one time. And then that's it. I'm putting my foot down right here at this very moment.
We had over 600 viewers on the YouTube channel at one point.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
And I mean, you take that, and I know we had a lot on the radio right here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And 101.9 Port St. Joe.
Ooh. I do wonder about that. Like, if you're in Port St. Joe, if you're in Port St. Joe and you're listening to this frequency, 101.9, text me right now. Like, if Mosley's playing, do you listen to that? Especially because at that point, Thursday, it was Bozeman in Port St. Joe, so Port St. Joe wasn't playing football that evening.
Right.
So maybe they were tuned into it. Yeah.
Why they wouldn't be?
I mean, if I heard a broadcast, if I was like scanning through the channels and I heard a football broadcast, I'm going to stop and at least try to find out like what it is that I'm listening to.
Especially local stuff, though, you know?
And no disrespect to like, let's just say Rutherford or Bay in this situation. No disrespect to those schools, but Mosley-Niceville was one of the biggest games in the whole state last week.
Yeah.
So it was like there was a lot of reason to listen and watch that one.
Well, we got the Bay County Championship tomorrow night over there again, Mosley and Arnold, and I think it could be a tough road ahead for Arnold in this particular ball game. But, you know, if Arnold wins next week against Rickards, then they're going to be in a good position to win their district or at least make it to the playoffs. We're just going to have to see what's the biggest thing that we've seen from Mosley the previous 2 years after that Niceville game.
Yeah, I mean, Mosley has tended to, and I said this on Twitter too, and, a little bit of I don't want to say negative feedback, but I think some people didn't like it too much. But Mosley has taken their foot off the gas the last 2 seasons that we've been in the booth. Like, it's like they've put all their eggs into the eggs into the basket of beating Niceville. And after that, it's almost like, I don't know, you don't want to say they don't care anymore, but it's almost like, okay, we accomplished our goal for the season, which was beat Niceville.
Yeah.
And I don't get that sense this year. This team feels different. This team feels like they have a bigger goal in mind. But, 2 years ago, I don't know the exact record, but they were, I think, 4-2 going into Niceville. They lost to Niceville. A very close game. Very close game. It was at Niceville. And then they finished the season 5-5. Last year, they were, 6-1? Or 5-1?
I think 5-1 because I believe the lone loss was to Leon on a heartbreaking Hail Mary pass.
Yeah, because that was the game that I didn't get the call.
Yeah. Yep.
Every year, buddy. Every year.
Well, this year's been you doubled up this year.
Not my fault this year.
Yeah.
Right. Not my fault this year. But it still happened.
I guess that depends on
2 in a row is crazy, by the way. But of course, and then that last year they were 5-1 going to the Niceville game. They won to win the district, so they were 6-1. Well, they finished the season after the playoffs 6-5. So right now 6-0 going into last week. Now sitting at 7-0.
They need to keep going. They
Foot
need
on
to
the
keep
gas.
Going.
Hey, they absolutely do. But Bay County football looks to be in a very good position. We're going to take a quick time out. When we get back, we're going to be talking with your favorite owner of Golf Plus, your only owner of Golf Plus, Alan Watson. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs.
Your home for the NFL. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This Sunday, it's another NFL triple header. We'll start off with a great game. The 5-1 Houston Texans versus the 4-2 Green Bay Packers kick off at noon, followed by the Las Vegas Raiders at the Los Angeles Rams. Then it's Sunday Night Football with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets at the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll kick off at 7:15 on your home for the NFL. It's ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. The rest of the day, sunny and a temperature of 71 with wind 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the northeast. Clear skies tonight, a gentle breeze and a little chilly near 51. Sunny and 76 tomorrow. 78 and sunshine with a moderate breeze Saturday. Sunday sunshine and a temperature about the same at 80. This is your Thursday's weather sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
So you've heard the saying that if you love your job, you'll never have to work? Well, it's true.
I've worked for Brock Lawn and Pest Control for many years. The commitment to the needs of customers
and their commitment to each employee makes Brock a company I'm very proud to be a part of.
Brock's core values are also mine. Give people more than they expect and always honor your promises.
This isn't a job, it's a service to help people live a healthier lifestyle.
Brock Lawn and Pest Control, our family protecting your family.
ESPN Northwest Florida is thrilled to introduce the newest members of the Panama City Beach Chamber to our vibrant business community.
Welcome to the Beach Chamber, a Roy Thai restaurant and bar, Blue Sky Carts, Never Defeated Athletics, and WRS Drain Cleaning.
We're here to support your success and help you connect with our community.
Congratulations from ESPN Northwest Florida.
And the Panama City Beach Chamber of Commerce, reaching Bay County and beyond.
Brace yourself and strap in for the ultimate adrenaline rush.
It's showtime.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, ESPN Northwest Florida.
You're back riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. You are in the doghouse, and this is 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. Your mic's off. Oh, now you're just mouthing stuff. I thought you had something to say over there, Kyle Wright, but I want to remind you guys that we do have some Thursday night football on right here tonight. Broncos at the Saints. Should be a good one. Coverage starting at 6:30, 7:15 for the kick tonight. We're going to go over to Alan Watson, and after we finish this segment, we're going to talk a little bit more about that Broncos-Saints game. But we do have the owner of Golf Plus on the line with us. Alan Watson, how are you doing on this beautiful afternoon?
I'm doing good, man. You're right. It's absolutely gorgeous. These last few days have been beautiful here in Bay County. So, loving life.
I love it when you wake up and it's 40 degrees, and then next thing you know, it's 70 degrees. You know, I'm glad.
2 hours later.
Well, yeah, but it's like you dress for a very cold day, and I remember when I used to work outside on days like this. I'd be like, man, I can't do this. And next thing you know, I'm like, all right, I need to go change real quick. But yeah, beautiful weather, and it would be a beautiful day to play golf. Real quick, Roy Denton says, "Be nice if you did more than just Mosley, my friend. You should listen more." Product we're loving at Golf Plus. We're going to save that for the end of this segment here. How do you feel about pranks on the golf course? Is that a good one to start with, Leanne?
Yeah, Alan, I saw something on Facebook the other day, and of course I immediately thought of you. Anything about golf, I always think about you. So you were thought of a lot, actually. But listen, have you heard of the sparked golf balls?
I've seen the ones that explode. I've heard the ones that are really, really loud. There's some trick balls that don't putt straight. So there's a lot of different gags golf balls, but spark, like it literally, like sparks catches on fire?
No, it makes, when they hit it, it sounds like a sniper rifle. I mean, it's super loud, and nobody's expecting it. But I have to tell you that my first thought is, and now I'm not, bashing any age groups here because I'm getting on up there myself. But, if you have older people play golf because it's a great sport, to be able to do. You don't have to have a team and whatnot. But what if somebody it scares them and they have a heart attack and fall out on the golf course? That wouldn't be good.
Yeah, no, that's seriously scary thought. Stuff. Yeah, I mean, I've seen people get mad and throw clubs and scare people. I have seen people get, seizures on the golf course. I've seen people have, heat stroke, all that kind of stuff. So there's enough bad stuff that can happen out there anyway. So yeah, I would definitely be careful with that prank based on maybe, like you said, the age group, or if it's just people that Obviously, I wouldn't do something like that to a vet who maybe has been in combat. You don't want any kind of loud, gunshot noises going from them. That would be insensitive. So, but yeah, I mean, if it's maybe some younger guys who, high school buddies or whatever, maybe just messing around, I think that'd probably be okay.
So how do you feel about the rubber snake on the fishing line prank?
I mean, that would be hilarious. I think definitely. They've got somebody coming out of a bunker, not really paying attention, run one across the green or something at them.
No, you clip it to their shirt, and then when they're running away, it's still following them.
Yeah, I've seen people throw rubber snakes into carts before as people are driving, and that's pretty wild to watch the cart go in every direction except straight. So, I'm okay with some pranks. Again, I think a lot of it depends on the group. Most people know who they're playing with. I would never pull a prank on anybody that I didn't know on the golf course. Not a good way to judge where they're at in life. You're about to find out if you do that. Obviously.
Yeah, very true.
All right, Alan, I'm sure you noticed by following me on social media, but some have said it's a catastrophic knee injury, but I just think it's a pretty serious knee injury. I eventually want to start easing myself back into golf, but how do you suggest me doing that? And for the rest of my life, I'm going to be probably favoring my right knee. What are some tips you can give me as somebody who is going to be dealing with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what's interesting, it's interesting that you bring that up because I was talking to one of my guys the other day, and he was showing me a video of some guys he played golf with the other day that were combat vets. One of them was missing both legs and one arm, and he was still able to play golf with prosthetics. So I figure if all you got's a bum knee and you're still in mostly one piece, I figure you can figure out a way to do it. We have definitely seen over the years a lot of folks come into our shop with back injuries, elbow, shoulder, a lot of knees, obviously a lot of hip action problems where they had to have their hip replaced or they need to get it replaced. And so what ends up happening is you end up having either a limited range of motion in a certain part of your body, or you have a side that you favor and maybe sometimes you're scared to rotate to that side, like if it's your left. Is it your left knee or your right knee?
Oh, my right knee. Sorry, I didn't realize David had us.
Okay, and you're a right-handed golfer.
Yeah, they're they're over here chirping, so I had to turn your mics off. All right, guys?
I'm listening.
I'm listening.
I am a right-handed golfer. Yes, sir.
Okay, right-handed golfer with a bad right knee, that's better than the bad left knee, because the left knee is the knee you're rotating into, so that would scare you a lot, obviously. But if it's a bad right knee, chances are you're just going to have a weak follow-through, and everything's going to leave out to the right because you're not going to fully rotate for a while. So obviously when you're first getting back into it, you're just going to have to aim left and sort of play that little bit of a push or that little bit of a cut that you're going to have until you learn to rotate on it. But, you know, a lot of those type of injuries, rotational type, things where you have a shoulder that won't go all the way or a hip or a knee, again, it's just limited mobility. You may not be able to hit the ball as far as you used to, something like that. But, you've got a lot of other good parts. And so even if that one's a little bit weak, you can overcome that with a stronger left arm, stronger left side, whatever. But, yeah, it's definitely going to be a little bit of a challenge as you relearn how to, swing a baseball bat, softball bat, golf club, those type of things, go bowling, anything like that where you're using your entire body, but you've got one weak spot. You're definitely going to have to learn to use that. But, there's some great teachers out there that work with guys who have, and girls as well, who have, lost limbs and all that, and they're used to that. So I would probably, end up finding a teacher that has worked with people like that or has worked with people with injuries, catastrophic or otherwise, and just learn how to do it. But I think you'll be fine. I think you'll be able to play again, no doubt.
Looking forward to it.
At least, like, when you don't do well, you have a valid excuse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's great. He said I'll hit more to the right, and I've been missing to the left for the last 2 years of my game. So maybe this will balance me out, man. Maybe
everything happens for a reason, don't it?
Best thing that ever happened to my golf game, blowing out my knee.
You've been praying for a better golf game, and then here you go. God's like, well, I'll take softball away from you and cut down 5 strokes off your golf game.
Oh, man.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We got Alan Watson on the line with us. He's the owner of Golf Plus. So, we talked about bouncing back from an injury, but you also got to use those hips. And Kyle's not dealing with a hip injury, but Tua Tagovailoa was. Give me some tips for getting your hips involved in the golf swing.
Well, one of the things that you can do is just learn to rotate, and I think that starts with proper foot position. So many people have too wide of a stance or too narrow of a stance. Usually it's too wide. So as you widen out your stance, it just makes it really hard to rotate. So finding that place where your feet are just past shoulder width apart, having a good square setup, and then working on it. And this is a drill, like I tell people this all the time. You don't have to have a golf club in your hand, although it helps. But you really don't have to be hitting golf balls to work a basic swing drill. So you can take a shorter club, inside, outside, whatever, as long as you got high enough ceiling. Set up to the ball like you're going to make your normal swing. Take the club back to the top to get that rotational point, and then just work on the weight shift. As soon as the hands drop, you're going to fire those hips and really work on slamming the right knee into the left knee. I know that scares you, Kyle. That's what we talked about.
I'm like, don't do that.
In other words, you're not really thinking about your hip. You just look at the knees. You just use that as the single contact point of right knee to left knee. If you do that as you rotate, that's going to bring those hips all the way around the square. And then we're just trying to make sure that our belly button or our sternum, whatever center points you want to use, is facing the target when we get to our final swing position or our finish position. So we're not trying to over-rotate. We don't want to be aiming left. but we also don't want to under-rotate where we're aiming right. Because if our chest or our belly button or whatever, as we rotate through, if we don't rotate far enough and it's aiming right, that's where the ball's going to go. So you really have to work on that rotation. And a lot of people would benefit by just making 50 swings a night while they're watching TV, or 100 swings a night while they're watching TV, not actually even hitting a golf ball, but just making that swing, working on that. Okay, my hands are at the top, boom, I'm dropping them, and within that millisecond of the hands moving, now I'm firing the hits as well, and I'm using my knees as that counterpoint to know that I'm rotating through. So obviously it's hard to visualize on the radio. Next time I'm in studio, we'll work on Kyle and see what we can do about getting him moving.
I do have to ask, though, when you were giving us that tip, were you acting that out while you were doing it?
I got that sense, too.
No, I'm sitting at my dining table typing in orders for Christmas order stuff. So I'm not typing while I'm talking, but yes, but I'm sitting here. But I was visualizing it, and I probably, in my mind, saw my knees moving, and I definitely was visualizing that finish position because, again, and that's another thing, like finish position. I always tell people, if you get to your finish position and you're off balance or you're leaning back, there's no way that ball is going to go straight. You want to get to that finish position, and you should be so balanced on your left side that you can pick your right foot up like a flamingo. You should be able to stand up straight on the left side, left leg straight, right leg bent up 90-degree angle, like a flamingo stands, and you should be balanced and not falling over. So all you guys and girls that are out there swinging as hard as you can, and you look like Dale Murphy in the 80s trying to launch one over the field, the Turner Field fence, when you're in that position and you're laid back, you're not going to hit it as far as you can. You're definitely not going to hit it as straight as you can. So you got to get all the way rotated through, balance point all the way to the left side when you finish.
And then an equipment question for you, and it has to do with the golf balls. Is it imperative to be playing the best golf? Like, should amateurs be playing Pro V1s, or should they opt for the cheapest, or is there a better brand that's kind of right there in the middle? What's the differences in some of these golf balls?
Yeah, so for me, I think finding a mid-grade golf ball, price point-wise, that fits your budget but still going to give you some performance, you're right. I mean, if somebody's literally a beginner, or maybe they've only been playing a couple of years, or maybe they only go out a couple of times a year, so they don't have a lot of practice in between, and so they know it's going to be rough. I don't see spending $50-$60 a box as the best idea for them. There are some balls right in the middle of the price point. So things like the Strixon Q-Star Tour, the TaylorMade Tour Response, the Callaway ERC, all of those balls are in the $35 to $40 range. So they're not cheap, $15 to $20 box balls, but they're not that $50-$60 box ball either. And there's some great golf balls in that middle price range that will still give you good performance, give you stopping power on the greens, give you feel, but are not going to necessarily bust the budget.
Alan, I just want to make sure that I'm on your Christmas list while you're placing those orders. Just want to make sure that my name's there. No, seriously, what all are you ordering? What kind of new things are you guys going to be having to come in that'll make great gifts for our fellow golfers?
Yeah, so today I'm working on my Titleist stuff for Christmas. So this is going to be like Scotty Cameron putters, filling in any models that we don't have in stock right now. This is going to be filling in a few iron sets for any iron sets that we don't have in stock, because most of these companies now are making a lot of different models, and it just gets hard to keep it all in stock. So I'm doing some fill-ins, and then, of course, the new GT Metalwood line from Titleist that we talked about before, the new GT2, GT3 drivers and fairways. Those have been really popular, so I've got to get some more of that stuff, And then also SM10 wedges, which is Titleist mainline wedge. I'm filling those as well, just getting more of those most popular SKUs. So this is a little bit of a slow time of year for us, but it's time for us to start bulking up our inventory and getting ready for Christmas. We always do a big Black Friday thing every year with goodie bags and giveaways and all that, and then that kind of kicks off the shopping season. So we're not too far away from that. But yeah, today's Titleist, but tomorrow it'll be another brand. I just got to keep ordering.
There you go.
Alan, I want to be on your Christmas list too, but what are your thoughts on Bama's struggles versus South Carolina?
Oh my gosh, where do we start? Where do we end? I mean, I'm sure. Obviously, they struggled 2 weeks in a row. That was bad. South Carolina game, man, I just really had higher hopes for the offense. And obviously, if you watch the first few minutes of the game, you were like, okay, cool, we're up, 14-0. We got this. This is going to be a blowout, or at least going to be a big win. But sure enough, they found ways to shoot themselves in the foot, and South Carolina had some defense that I really wasn't expecting. So I was kind of sad. I'd like to see this coach get a little more fired up. I'd like to see him, really take control of this team. And this is a big week with Tennessee. This is obviously the second biggest rivalry behind Auburn for Alabama. So this is a huge game. This could be an easy loss for Bama if they're not careful and if they don't learn something from the last 2 weeks. So I think this week's going to come down to coaching. And if Kalen DeBoer, lets into these guys and says, hey, do y'all want to keep going down this path or do y'all want to get better? Then we'll see what changes. But if they continue to do what they've done the last few weeks with this undisciplined football, with this streaky 1 minute we're good, 1 minute we're bad football, then they're going to get rocked by Tennessee this week, and I don't want to see that.
Yeah. So a golf question here, back to golf. Greg Norman, do you think he's going to be better as a commissioner this next season, or do you think him and Liv will end up parting ways?
It looks like they're trying to replace him right now. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. There's been talk about that, obviously, now for over a year, but now it's starting to fuel up again. I think a lot of it's just going to come down to what happens with the PGA Tour, whether we're going to get a merger done or not, because obviously if we get a merger, then they don't really need him. And maybe that's why the PIF's trying to sort of move away from him before we get to that. His ego is so big with this whole thing, and why this whole thing even started was obviously 99.9% Greg Norman. So, he's highly and heavily invested in this. And he feels like that this is his thing, and so it's not going to go well if they have to get rid of him, at least from a PR standpoint. And honestly, it's not going to change the quality of the golf or do anything for the tour if they put new leadership in there, because the format is set and people have already kind of weighed in based on viewership and attendance as to what they like and don't like about Live Golf. But yeah, I think long term they're looking to replace him regardless of what happens.
So from my understanding, reading that article from The Score on Greg Norman, they're not fully replacing him. He's going to fill some other role. Do you know what that role would be?
It's basically going to go from he's CEO right now. They're going to replace him there, and they might make him the commissioner. What is the commissioner of Live Golf of that tour? What would they do, Alan?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I don't know the exact answer.
Okay, let me ask you this. What's the difference in a CEO and a commissioner?
Well, CEO, if you have, sort of separations like that, in my understanding, the CEO is basically in charge of just, the overall, making sure everything's running correctly, putting the right people in the right places, etc. The commissioner would have a more direct role in terms of, making sure that all the tournaments go off the way they're supposed to and all that. I think that's sort of like a general manager versus a head coach of a team, right? I mean, you can think NFL or Major League Baseball or whatever. So, I mean, it's definitely a difficult distinction, and we don't know exactly what it might look like. And sometimes you see things like this happen where they're just moving somebody around just to sort of appease the crowds or whatever. But in this case, like I said, I don't see Greg Norman going lightly, and I don't think he sees Liv as something that can survive without him. Even though it's not really surviving that well now. So they have to make a change. I think they have to figure out something. Because if I had to put all the money I had on the bet, I don't think they're ever going to get this merger done. I think you're going to have PGA Tour separate. I think you're going to have Liv separate. And I think 2 years from now, Liv's just going to kind of fizzle out unless they can do something to get their attendance and their viewership numbers up. PGA Tour is not going anywhere no matter what. But Liv Tour, that's not a guarantee.
That leaves us a good topic for next week then. Kind of what happens with those Live golfers then? Are they going to have to, pay their dues to get back to the PGA Tour? Is the PGA Tour just going to welcome them back with open arms? A lot of questions to be answered, especially when you think about how successful the Live Tour has been at poaching all of these top golfers, because it's not just one or two. When you think about the PGA Tour now, it's essentially Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy. When you look at the Live Tour, there's still a lot of big names, but their names are kind of losing luster because they're on the Live Tour, not on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think once they got Rahm and Cam Smith, I was like, that was kind of like the last straw. I mean, they're never going to get guys like Patrick Cantlay and Ricky Fowler. Some of those guys are really Jordan Spieth. Those guys are definitely dyed in the wool PGA Tour. They're not going anywhere. But if they could get a Hideki or somebody like that, which I don't think he would go, but if they could, you're talking about the Japan market, which is massive. If they could get somebody else maybe that pulls a big a visual, that's a big name. It is diminishing the quality of the PGA Tour. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, people are just not tuning in to live the way they still tune in to the PGA Tour.
It's that good old CW network. Alan, my favorite question, our final question to ask you every week. For some reason, I had it at the top of our show sheet today, but hey, that's just how it goes sometimes. What is the product that we're loving at Golf Plus?
Well, I think the product I'm loving this week is, this is going to sound crazy. This is going to be like, what are you talking about? But we just got in these new Golf Plus hoodie T-shirts and regular T-shirts as well. So we've got some new hoodies and some new T-shirts, and they've got my logo on them. So I think that's why I'm loving them.
Well, yeah.
It's a great day for hoodies.
I'll definitely have to get a few of them down there to the ESPN studios as early Christmas presents. Y'all just send me your sizes. And but these are great looking, and you can rep a local brand, and you can help advertise for me, and they don't cost that much, and they're just great looking. So I was wearing the hoodie today, and you made me look 10 pounds lighter. So hey, there you go.
There you go.
I would like to have that. Yes. Where do I need to send my size?
But yeah, we got some new swag in for us, so I'm excited about that.
Heck yeah, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Alan, we ran a little bit over there, but as always, it was great having you on, and we'll talk with you next Thursday, my man.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. See y'all soon.
All right, that's Alan Watson. He's the owner of Golf Plus. You can go check out Golf Plus over there at the shops at Edgewater, right next door to Firefly. If you are a golfer, you need to go check this establishment out because it is one of the best, if not the best, in the entire area. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida. You're home for the Auburn Tigers. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Banji Bombadella.
ESPN Northwest Florida. We're the radio home of the Mosley Dolphins.
Friday night, we're going under the lights as the 7-0 Dolphins face the surprising 6-2 Arnold Marlins. Tune in for live play-by-play from Tommy Oliver Stadium. Cover starts Friday at 6, kickoff at 7. Mosley Dolphin football on ESPN Northwest Florida is sponsored by Panama City Toyota, Orthopedic Specialists, and Chapman Wealth Management.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
Attention homeowners, are you dreaming of a backyard oasis? Look no further than S&R Fencing, your go-to destination for quality outdoor transformations. At S&R, they specialize in crafting custom fences, decks, retainer walls, and all exterior construction that not only enhances the beauty of your home, but also stands the test of time. Their experienced team takes pride in delivering top-notch craftsmanship with a personal touch. S&R Fencing, locally owned, licensed, and insured, and a member of the BBB.
This is Uncommon Moments. Here's former Super Bowl winning NFL coach Tony Dungy and his wife Lauren sharing from their book Uncommon Marriage.
Having your wife help you grow as a husband is really valuable. Sometimes I get too focused on the what ifs, and Lauren shows me not to worry. I'm a better dad and a better husband because of her wisdom. What you don't want to do is say to yourself, I wish my spouse was more like me. I shouldn't think that about my wife or my children or anyone. Instead, we're a team.
Our differences are one reason God brought us together, and we make good decisions when we work through things as husband and wife. I think my perspective helps Tony look at things differently for the better. Together we trust the Lord, knowing He will work all things out.
Tony and Lauren Dungy, authors of Uncommon Marriage, learning about lasting love and overcoming life's obstacles together. Discover more at CoachDungy.com.
But to be the man, you gotta beat the man. It's the Afternoon Underdogs on the Sports Talk Monster. You're gonna be mine! Woo! ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back into the Doghouse. You're riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs, tuned into ESPN Northwest Florida, your home for the Mosley Dolphins as they take on the Arnold Marlins for the Bay County Championship. That game will be right here on 104.3 tomorrow evening, coverage starting at 6 p.m. and the kick at 7 p.m. We did have Roy Denton earlier asking why we don't broadcast any games. I really don't have a great answer as my pay grade just isn't to that level around here. So we tried to do our best by talking about as much of the teams as much as we can. When me and Kyle get together, being that we call games, sometimes we just go a little gung-ho on what it is that we've been witnessing as a play-by-play duo there. And a guy, if you really want great information on what's going on in the high school football, high school sports, period, landscape, this is the guy. It's Banji Bamandela. He is the Panama City News Herald sports writer. Banji, welcome in.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being on with us again this afternoon. We'll go ahead and dive straight into it because the more people that we add to this, I'm going to have to just back off of talking so much about these games. Let's dive into it. Friday night, we've got Oklahoma State at BYU. BYU is a 9.5-point favorite, and we are using the spread here, so BYU's got to win by 10, or you're taking Oklahoma State. Let's start with you, Banji. Who you got in this football game?
I have BYU, and I have the over 9.5. I think BYU is going to get a big victory.
Yeah, I've been extremely disappointed in Oklahoma State this year. I kind of thought I had them pegged to win the Big 12 before the season started. And they've just been really disappointing, and I, on the opposite end of that, have been very surprised and satisfied by what BYU has put out on the field. So I'll take BYU to cover at home.
Honestly, that's my exact thoughts because I had OK State pretty high up in the beginning too. But yeah, BYU with the points.
I'm with you guys, BYU.
All right, then I'll keep it rolling, and we'll sweep it out. There was a side of me that really wanted to take the Cowboys in this game because, like y'all said, I was high on Oklahoma State to start the season. They've let me down a bunch of times. I've been inconsistent with BYU, but they've been incredibly consistent, so I like them winning by 10 or more. Let's go to number 6, Miami, taking on Louisville in Louisville, and they're a 4-point favorite, but we're not worried about the spread here. This is a head-to-head game. Who do you got in this one? We'll start with you, Kyle.
Yeah, Miami 2-8 coming off the bye in the last 10 years is that's kind of a staggering statistic. But honestly, I don't think this is going to be more of the same. I think Miami's going to get the job done here on the road. They've got they've kind of got a chip on their shoulder of like everybody thinks they should be 4-2, including me. You know, they've been bailed out over the last couple of weeks, and they need a prove-it win. And I think a win at Louisville will get that done.
Yeah, again, I'm with Kyle. Wow, this is like weird.
Okay, I'm going to switch.
Yeah, I'm taking Miami.
Yeah, I got the Miami Zebras in this one, too.
The Zebra Stripes. Banji, what you got?
I also have Miami. I think they're going to try to make a statement win.
All right, Dave is on the phone over there, so we're going to move on to Auburn at number 19, Missouri. And Banji, I'll let you go first on that one.
I definitely have Missouri. You know, they've had some close games like the Vandy game, but they were able to pull some of those games out. I have Missouri winning big.
I got Missouri as well. They're the better Tiger.
There you go. Well, I have Missouri too. Auburn, I know we're affiliate for Auburn here at ESPN Northwest Florida, but it's just not happening this year. So I got Missouri.
All right. Are we still where are we at right now?
No, we're at Auburn at Missouri. I just
okay.
You were on the phone,
no,
so
absolutely. You did a great job. Great job. Appreciate
thanks,
you.
Dad.
Yeah, you're well. Thank you for keeping it rolling.
Kyle, it's almost like you've done this before.
Yeah, time or two, and yeah. I'll take Missouri at home here too. Auburn just so unimpressive this season. I haven't been that impressed with Missouri either, but at home I feel like they've got a good enough team to get this done. So Dave, I guess you had to pick Miami. The Miami game as well.
Yeah, I've got Miami in that game. Who did Banji have in that one?
He picked Miami. Yeah.
All right, and then for Auburn and Missouri, I'm going with Missouri here. I think it's going to be close. I think Auburn could upset them if they're playing in Jordan-Hare. I'm taking the Auburn Tigers in this game, but for me, it's going to be Missouri. You formulate it from now on for the rest of us.
All right. So we're moving to the Big Ten. Nebraska at number 16, Indiana. Indiana 6-0, first time in school history, but Nebraska coming in at a red hot 5-1. So we'll start with you, Leanne.
Well, I know that they are coming in hot, but they are coming in to play at Indiana, and I've been very impressed with Indiana, so that's my pick.
All right, Max, this one's for you. Indiana wins.
I'll be taking Indiana. I'm going Indiana. Indiana for Max.
How about you, Banji?
I'm definitely going Indiana. They have a Heisman caliber quarterback, but he's not getting as much time. But as much love from the Heisman voters right now. But I do have Indiana.
I'm going to switch it up then. My daddy spent his life looking up at the sky. Rain makes corn. Corn gets dubs.
Okay. I thought we were going to do the whole thing. I was ready to echo you, brother.
Give me the Huskers on the road. All right, staying with the Big Ten, number 24, Michigan at number 22, Illinois. Banji, we'll start with you.
I'm actually going to take Illinois. I mean, in other years, I would definitely have Michigan for the win, but I definitely have Illinois this week.
In other years, we're not picking this game because Illinois is garbage, but
that's fair. That's fair. Davo will roll.
Oh, man, I really want to take Illinois because of the uniforms. There's something that's just telling me that Michigan's going to win this game, but I'm going to go against... I'm not going to go against the grain. I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to take the Wolverines here in a close game, and I think Illinois is going to give them everything they want and more.
I just don't trust this 40-year-old quarterback from Michigan. He's on his ninth school, it seems like. Played in the 80s, but give me Illinois. Brett Bielema is not going to screw this game up.
I'm picking Illinois, too. I've never been a big Michigan fan, but they're not the same team this year, obviously. But Illinois has been very impressive, so hopefully I'll get that one right.
Illinois is good at one thing on defense, and it's stopping the run. So Michigan's going to have to complete some passes if they want to get this win, and I'm not sure they're capable of that. So I'm taking Illinois in the 1920s uniforms. Like you said, the quarterback for Michigan may have been around when they wore these uniforms.
He may have designed them.
All right, so number 12, Notre Dame at Georgia Tech. Now, they're giving Georgia Tech 11.5 here. We are picking this. This game is in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, by the way. So a big stadium there in Atlanta. I imagine that it'll probably be 50-50 as far as fan base goes. I'm not sure this is a true home game for Georgia Tech.
I consider it more of a home game for Georgia Tech the way that they've been playing the last 2 years. Had this been 3 years ago, then I say no. Notre Dame, obviously they're going to travel well, but I do think that how do you feel about that, being from the metro Atlanta area? What do you think on this, Banji, as far as this being a Georgia Tech home game?
Yeah, it's not going to be a Georgia Tech home game. I could just tell you that. I'm just biased because I'm not a big fan of Georgia Tech. I went to Georgia State, which is not too far from there, so I'm a little biased. I don't think it's going to be 50-50, but take that with a pinch of salt.
Hey, there you go.
Georgia State beat the almighty best team in the SEC, Vanderbilt, this year. That's a
straight up.
That's a big W. All right, so Notre Dame at Georgia Tech plus 11.5 for Georgia Tech. So if you're going to pick Notre Dame, they got to win by 12. And I'll go first here. And I'm going to pick Notre Dame to get the job done on the road. Other than that one letdown, which everybody's kind of seemed to have this year. Now, theirs was to a much more inferior opponent, but Notre Dame's been firing on all cylinders. And the better that Texas A&M looks, the better Notre Dame does down the stretch. So,
I hate to say this out loud because y'all know how I feel about Notre Dame, but I'm picking them to win with the points.
I'm picking Georgia Tech to cover. I have no reason why other than that's a big number, and I'm hoping that it's a closer game than what the experts say, so I'm just going to pick Georgia Tech to cover.
Banji, who you got here?
I got Notre Dame for sure. Never, ever will I ever pick Georgia Tech.
I've got Notre Dame covering the 12 points here as well. I think that it's maybe close for the first half. Haynes King is questionable for this game. Riley Leonard fully healthy. So Haynes King is out?
No, I'm just saying like that. Well, that definitely would have. I mean, I picked Notre Dame anyway, but that's a big name to maybe not be available for that.
Yeah, I think that the game might be close for maybe the first quarter and half of the second, and then Notre Dame's going to impose their will, and they'll move on from there.
All right, fair enough. We got time for another one, David? Or
let's go ahead and take a quick break. Banji, you got time?
Yes, sir.
All right, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to take a quick time out. When we return, we're going to finish up our pick'em, and then we'll be about 20 minutes away from going around the track with RJ Starcevic.
ESPN Northwest Florida is your home for college football and the Auburn Tigers.
He dives! He's in! Touchdown Auburn!
We heard you, Tiger fans. So this season, we're airing every single game. And you can take that to the bank.
And picked off in the end zone!
Plus, the biggest games in the SEC and around the country play here on your official station for college football, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. The rest of the day, sunny and a temperature of 71 with wind 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the northeast. Clear skies tonight, a gentle breeze and a little chilly near 51. Sunny and 76 tomorrow. 78 and sunshine with a moderate breeze Saturday. Sunday sunshine and a temperature about the same at 80. This is your Thursday's weather sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Are you hungry for authentic Mexican cuisine? Then come to El Rodeo Tequila Bar and Grill, where we serve up the freshest, most flavorful dishes on the beach. El Rodeo Tequila Bar and Grill, a great location, comfortable atmosphere, and happy hour from 3 to 7. Buy one, get one free, regular margaritas and 12-ounce house drafts. And you're going to love their lunch specials Monday through Friday from 11 to 3. Plus, live music Wednesdays and Saturdays starting at 5:30. El Rodeo Tequila Bar and Grill, Thomas Drive, across from the Navy base.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us at the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lynn, powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
I don't even know what I'm doing back here, but I tell you what, I put this theme song on for Kyle Aaron Wright.
Bay County. Acknowledge me!
Oh, man. Always fun to get into some wrestling fun here when Kyle's on the show with us. That is the theme song for Roman Reigns, who is the original tribal chief. I don't watch very much of it until Kyle's like, hey, it's Royal Rumble time. You coming over for WrestleMania, all that good stuff. And I get into it when I'm with those guys. It's a lot of fun, but I do somehow know all of the things that are happening because I'm around Kyle, so I appreciate the info.
And I can't take all the credit for it. Coach Brian had a big wrestling fan as well, so and you see him probably more than you see me these days. So having two guys on two different days that are big in the wrestling, and of course he's got the his podcast buddies. I'm sorry, I can't remember. Monty and Pharaoh.
There you go.
Those guys are awesome, man. And
number one listener, Chef Ross.
like those guys as well. So it's cool, man. You're wrestling. They're on the little bit of a slump right now, just because this is that time of year. It's middle of the wrestling season. They're getting ready to do their Saudi Arabia shows, but once Royal Rumble season comes up there, we'll be talking a lot of wrestling here.
This is ESPN Northwest Florida 104.3 Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. We are streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. So do me a favor if you are watching with us on Facebook today to like and share that feed, and then give us a follow over there subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also download the app and register 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Just go to your Google Play or your Apple Store, type that in. We're back with Banji Bomadella here. He's our guest picker for the week. And Kyle, what game did we leave off with?
We are going to move on to number 8 LSU at Arkansas. That we're picking this one straight up because the spread is LSU's only being given 2.5 here on the road. So Banji, we'll start with you, brother. Yeah. Banji, we'll go to you first, bud. Sorry.
I definitely have Arkansas winning. I guess it's going to be considered an upset, but I have no faith in LSU's quarterback. He seems shaky. at times. I definitely think Arkansas is going to pull off the upset.
All right, well, man, now I'm sitting over here because I have the same sentiment as Banji, as I'm not a big, Garrett Nussmeier just, man, he's so good. It's not that. It's just, there's shaky times, I think is a perfect way to put that. However, I'm going to disagree in the pick, though, and I think LSU just gets a little Bayou Bengal magic somehow in this game and comes away with a win.
Yeah, I've got LSU. Don't know a whole lot about Arkansas. Haven't really read a whole lot, seen a whole lot that's impressive.
Well, I had initially picked LSU when I first got in the studio, but then I recently changed my mind. First of all, they're playing in Arkansas. Arkansas really doesn't have a lot to lose, so to speak. You know, they don't have as much riding on the line, maybe I should say, as LSU. I'm going to go with like Banji said, the upset, I guess they're calling it, with Arkansas.
I'm not a believer in Sam Pittman at all, and he's not really known for getting these big wins. Now, he did get the upset win over Tennessee, which tells me lightning is definitely not striking twice. I'll take LSU on the road to get the job done here. All right, so we're going to stay in the SEC. Number 14, Texas A&M. Trav, go ahead. Golly, go ahead. My Lord. Traveling to take on the Mississippi State Community College.
Oh, stop it.
Woo! Ring that bell, baby.
Mississippi State being given 15.5 here at home. We are going to pick against the spread, so I'll go first on this one. I hate to do this to you. I'm going to do it here, bro, but it's okay. You understand. Texas A&M on the road is going to get this. They're going to cover relatively easy.
I usually don't automatically pick Mississippi State because they're my team, but this week I am. Texas A&M has been doing really good, but they're playing in Starkville with however many thousands of these cowbells, and it's hard to play there.
Probably 500 or so. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
No, that is not true.
Well, 500 fans, cowbell in each hand is 1,000 cowbells.
That's right. That's loud.
There you go.
I've got A&M winning on the road. I just don't trust Mississippi State.
Do they win by 15.5?
Yeah.
Okay. Banji, what do you got?
I have A&M winning on the road, covering.
I think I'm going to do Leanne a favor here, right? It was 41-31 against Georgia, right? They played a lot better than what people give them credit for against Texas. They went down big against Florida. I don't think Mississippi State wins this game. I don't think they got a chance to win this game, but I think they could stick within 2 touchdowns. So with that, ring that bell for me one time.
Let her do it one time, though. All right, big game over here in the SEC. Number 7, Alabama at number 11, Tennessee. I guess we'll let Dave go last here on this one.
I'm not going to say much about this game. I'm tired of sticking up for him. And I'm going to say no notes. I'm just going to pick the tide and hope for the best. So I'll start it off, and I'll say that. Listen, I think Tennessee's got a real good defense. I think they've got a pretty dang good run game, but I don't think as highly of Nico at this point in time as what the rest of the country does, and I think we've seen that in 2 games this year. I am going to take the Tide. Am I going to be surprised if Tennessee? We've just had terrible luck in the state of Tennessee over the last 2 seasons, right? And one of those being Vanderbilt. So if Tennessee does win, don't tear the goalpost down. Like, you've already done that one time. Save yourself a couple $100,000 as a university and tear the little flags off of them or something.
It's not like we've been here before kind of thing.
Yeah.
Banji, what you got?
Well, I'm in a rough spot. I don't believe in Nico either, but I'll never, ever, ever in my life ever roll with the Tide. So I guess I have to choose Tennessee.
I love it. Banji keeping it real.
I've got Tennessee at home. I think something crazy is going to happen in Rocky Top.
Before this year, unless it was back in the 80s, I would be picking Alabama. But I'm going with Tennessee. Alabama they're very inconsistent and up and down, and Tennessee has done okay. But they're playing at home, and that's a big stadium, and it gets loud there, too.
What did I tell you guys last week? I picked Florida against the spread because I believe in Jesus Christ and Joe Hendry, and that's kind of like the end of the line. And Josh Heupel does not make that list when we talk about the things that I believe in. Listen, Tennessee proved 2 weeks in a row, one at Arkansas, and then last week against a really bad Florida defense. And Florida fans they'll agree with you on this. A really bad Florida defense. They couldn't move the ball. They needed overtime to beat a banged-up Florida team who they were already struggling against. So I'm going to take Alabama on the road here because, listen, Alabama has not been playing great, but they're still getting the job done, and I have to believe that Kalen, he's going to be able to get the wins when he needs to. So I'll take Bama on the road, and that's just for you.
Thank you, my friend. Look, it's a full circle in here. I'm taking Mississippi State for Leah. Oh, it's not hurting my feelings. If I saw Alabama doing what they were doing from the outside perspective, it's like, nah, give me Tennessee at the house. But I got to roll with the tie for this one. It would be different if they're playing Texas or Georgia here, especially on the road. Like, all right, I don't know about that. Kyle, what's the next game we got?
All right, we're finishing off our college picks with the biggest game of the week here. Number 5, Georgia at number 1, Texas. We'll go the reverse order that we just went, so I'll go first here. Georgia finds a way. When he's not playing against Alabama, Kirby Smart always finds a way. Texas was a little slow out of the gates last week, and if the right Carson Beck shows up for this game, I think Georgia wins this by 2 possessions.
I hope not. I'm picking Texas. The Georgia coach shoved my player on the sidelines. I'm picking Texas.
He didn't mean to.
That's what he says. I don't care who he meant to shove. He shoved, and he lost his cool, and he doesn't need to do that.
Mark Ingram said if he shoved an alpha like me or Julio Jones or some of the other dogs back in the day when he was coaching for Alabama, defensive coordinator for Alabama, he said it would have been a different story.
Yeah, It's a wonder it didn't escalate, honestly. But
so before I make my pick, I want to transition here. The Cleveland Guardians are up 2-1 on the Yankees in the bottom of the third.
Need the Guardians to win, but I need Judge to hit a home run.
And now for my pick, the Vegas line has moved 2.5 points this week already. So somebody somewhere is a lot smarter than me. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Texas is going to win this game.
Benji?
Oh, this is another tough one for me because I'm a big Quinn Ewers fan. Also a big Arch Manning fan, but also Georgia didn't accept me into their school when I applied, so that's another thing that I have against them. I'll take Georgia, actually. I think Kirby gets it done.
Big game Kirby, man, except for Tuscaloosa.
He was big second half Kirby there, right?
Yeah, big half a game
let's
Kirby.
Clarify that, yeah.
I've got to go with Georgia here. We've seen week in, week out, there's been some sort of just an upset or a game that you're just like, whoa, I was not expecting that one. It's time for Texas to experience what the SEC is like, right? And welcome to the SEC. I think that's what the moment is going to be. Texas could definitely win this game. You look at it on paper, I would say that the Longhorns are the better team from what we've seen. Georgia's already been in a couple of these big games. Texas hasn't been this year. Oklahoma, yes. But a lot of people, here's the other thing, though. Oklahoma's not a very good football team this year, or as good as what they've been getting credit for.
Especially offensively.
That game was what? 7-0 or 3-0 or I think it was like 7-0 almost at halftime, and then they recover the fumble in the end zone. So, and again, we play 4 quarters of football. There's no doubt about that. I just think Georgia finds a way in this game, and if Texas isn't up by 28 at the half, how does that second half look for the Georgia Bulldogs? So.
I think the argument for that game for Oklahoma was the same argument as the South Carolina against Alabama. Like, if there's any positivity in the quarterback play for either one of those teams, like, who knows how different those games go. Yeah. Honestly, because there were 2 terrible quarterbacks playing for these teams that both could have pulled a big upset. All right, we're moving to the NFL. My recommendation, folks, spend some time with your family tonight and put this game on ESPN Northwest Florida. Put this game on your radio and spend some time with your family. Don't waste your eyeballs watching the Broncos at the Saints tonight. It's gonna be a football game, and that's all I can tell you.
Watch the pregame. Watch the video tribute to Sean Payton in the pregame, and then flip it over to the radio.
Yeah, put it on your radio and spend some time with your family. It's Thursday night. It's
just
beautiful.
Like the 40s.
Make a pot of chili. It's gorgeous outside. So, Banji, we'll start with you. Broncos at the Saints.
I actually have the Broncos. I mean, is it confirmed whether or not Derek Carr is starting? Because that's also a big factor. But I do have the Broncos defense coming up big.
I'm pretty sure Spencer Rattler is starting.
I think I heard Spencer Rattler because of Battle of the 2 Rookies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Broncos by a lot then.
Spencer Rattler versus Bo Nix. Everybody's excited.
Yeah, I got Broncos big. Broncos big here tonight. Oh, I got them winning, and I got them covering 2.5, I think, is what Hard Rock is giving you right now. And that over-under total has dropped now to 37. So, I mean, I would hit the SGP on all three of those things. Broncos covering, and the over tonight, because we've had some explosive Thursday night football games.
Yeah.
This could be the first time in the history of the NFL that the home fans are cheering for the road team, and the love that the New Orleans people have for Sean Payton. So give me the Broncos, give me the over.
I'm going to be the odd person out here, but a lot of my family's starting to wear their old brown paper bags with the Aints written on them while they watch the games, but I'm going to pick the Saints. I'm going to say that they somehow pull it together.
I actually agree with you. I think they get the job done. There's going to be a lot of emotion in the Superdome tonight, honoring Drew Brees and, of course, Sean Payton coming back. There's going to be a lot of emotion in there. I think they get the job done tonight. I think the run game finally gets gelling a little bit. I think they get Alvin Kamara a little more heavily involved. So I'll take the Saints at home to get this win. All right, big game here. Texans at the Packers. Jordan Love versus what you got over there?
Oh, I was just going to say you can listen to I was going to wait till you finish. You can listen to this game right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Sunday coverage starting at 11:30 a.m. and the kick will be at 12.
All right, Texans at the Packers. I'll start here. I'll take the Pack at home. I really like what they've been doing this year. Jordan Love, been a little bit of feast or famine, but I think for the most part he's been feasting, and I think this game won't be any different.
I'm picking the Texans.
Did you see those white uniforms Green Bay is pulling out this week?
They're pretty.
They are very tight.
They are pretty.
It's at Lambeau. Give me the Pack.
Banjo, what you got in this one?
I definitely have the Texans. They have too much firepower on offense. I think Stroud and the guys get it done.
Yeah, another week back here for Joe Mixon, C.J. Stroud. Don't know what the latest is on Nico Collins, but they've got a nice wide receiving core over there, and they really haven't gotten Dalton Schultz into the mix as much as maybe some fantasy owners of Dalton Schultz.
I had to make the decision to drop him, man.
Yeah.
I had to.
So I think that the Texans come out on top here. What worries me is that the Sharps have the Packers as a 2.5-point favorite. As of Tuesday, they've got the Packers as a 2.5-point favorite, which isn't the full 3 points, right? So almost you can look at it as the Texans a half-point favorite. Give me the Texans in this game to keep their great season to this point alive.
All right, NFC North action here. Lions at the Vikings. As everybody guessed in the preseason, Sam Darnold, the perennial frontrunner for the Most Valuable Player award, right there neck and neck with Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Lions at
the Twilight Zone of the NFL.
What is happening? What you got over there, Banji?
This one's tough, but I think the Hutchinson injury is very big loss for the Lions, and I do have Sam Darnold, Justin Jefferson, the Vikings getting the victory.
All right, Mr. David Hayes.
I've been rolling with them from preseason here. Once they acquired Sam Darnold, and we knew that it wasn't going to be. Man, I've already J.J. McCarthy. Since it wasn't going to be him going, I was really high on Darnold and the Vikings because Darnold finally got the best wide receiver that he's ever got to throw to, and a little bit better of an offensive line. So he went from seeing ghosts to throwing dots. Give me the Vikings in this game.
I hate to say it, but that Hutchinson injury is an absolute killer. Vikings just traded for running back too, Cam Akers. He's not the same Cam Akers, but there's some more carries there. It's at home in the Dome. Give me the Vikes.
I'm picking the Lions just because I really don't care about either team, and they were the ones at the front of the line.
I need to be wrong on this pick, by the way.
I'm picking the Lions on the road as well. There's a lot of question marks around the Vikings run game right now. Aaron Jones is banged up. They did just bring in Cam Akers, but I imagine he's probably not ready to run behind that offensive line yet. Listen, there needs to be conversations about why Aiden Hutchinson was still in the game at that point. No disrespect to him. I'm sure he's an animal. He's a gamer. I'm sure he probably wouldn't have wanted to come out. He had a big lead at that point. The game was no longer in question. I'm not sure why Aiden was even in, but I still think the Lions, even outside of Aiden Hutchinson, they have enough talent on that team to be able to string together some wins, and they'll still win the division. I mean, we'll see. Obviously, the Packers have a good team as well, but whoever doesn't is probably going to get the five seed in the NFC. But I'm going to take the Lions on the road to get this victory. Well, this game would have been boring a couple weeks ago, but now
a couple days ago,
and now it's there's some interesting storylines going into this because hamstrings are magically healed up, and Devontae Adams is a New York Jet, and he is gonna play Sunday night, and Russell Wilson is starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday night. So Jets at the Steelers. I'll go first here. I think there's going to be a semblance of false hope behind the Jets getting a win here. I think, all new things are nice and shiny when you first get them. I think the offense will fire on all cylinders and they'll get the job done at Pittsburgh.
This is getting weird, Kyle. I picked the Steelers also.
I picked the Jets, so.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I picked, yeah.
But don't worry, Kyle, this is getting weird. I picked the Jets also. I just have more faith in Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. The first time through, I have no faith in what the Steelers are doing. I mean, what did... Now my mind just went blank.
Justin Fields?
Yeah, what did Justin Fields do to deserve to get benched? He only has a winning record. He's serviceable at best. He hasn't made any critical mistakes, and yet he's getting benched.
Well, there's a reason that they brought over Russell Wilson. I think in the mind of Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith, it was Russell Wilson the whole time, but he needed to be fully healthy. And as long as Justin Fields was able to be serviceable, that's the direction they were going to go on. I agree with you, though. I feel like when you've got a hot hand, you kind of ride with that hand, and we'll see. I mean, Russell Wilson could. I just don't think that he has the ability. No, I know he doesn't have the ability of what Justin Fields does now. Did he used to? Absolutely. We've seen that man scramble and make eggs out of defensive tacklers coming his way. But I'm going to take the Jets in this game, and that's if Justin Fields was starting, I'm taking the Steelers. But because it has nothing to do with Devontae Adams. I don't know how that whole situation is going to work out, but give me the Jets. Banji, who do you have?
I definitely have the Jets. I do believe it's going to be a defensive battle because I think the Steelers and the Jets have the top defenses in the NFL. But, the Steelers' offense with Arthur Smith, I don't know how he still has a job, but him calling plays offensively is not a good look. I don't know how they have a winning record right now, but I do have the Jets winning.
All right, last game, Monday Night Football. Ravens at the Buccaneers. This is easily the NFL game of the week, by the way. I'm glad that we finally get it's nice to have some good games in prime time, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but there's going to be two games on Monday Night Football. It's one of those 6:15, but the other one doesn't start at 6:30 or 7, how they've been doing it. I think it starts at 8, but I could be looking at an Eastern time start and not a Central time start.
Well, it's in either Arizona. I think it's in Arizona.
Arizona, yeah.
So it might be a little bit later, but it's exclusively an ESPN Plus game, so I imagine that most eyes will be on the Ravens at the Bucs.
Go to ESPNPC.com, click on the TV channel logo, and then type in the code ESPNNW to save yourself about $8 a month and get that Lucid Stream TV package there, and you ain't going to miss a single sporting event, ladies and gentlemen.
I like that. All right, Banji, Ravens at the Bucs.
I have the Ravens. I think Lamar and Derrick Henry, King Henry, are on fire right now, and they don't steamroll over the Buccaneers. They're a great team, but I do believe the Ravens pull out the victory.
David.
Oh, man, he said it all when he said Derrick Henry, man. What Derrick Henry does for Lamar Jackson, what Lamar Jackson does for Derrick Henry. You want to talk about what wins you big games, and that's complementary football, and then you add in the addition that Zay Flowers is coming into his own. You add the addition of Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely as good tight ends and complementary of each other in and of themselves. It's so hard to stop that attack. The Buccaneers have a great defense, so I'm right there with Banji. It's going to be close, almost how the Ravens and Commanders was last week, but I think we might be looking at something a little bit closer, maybe something within side of those 3.5 points. But give me King Henry, Lamar Jackson, and the Baltimore Ravens.
All right. Before I make this pick, to go back to your question on how the Steelers still have an offensive coordinator, is Tomlin doesn't fire coaches. If it wasn't for a riot in Pittsburgh last year, they wouldn't have fired their offensive coordinator mid-season either. So, but to go into this one, I have Baltimore winning.
I picked the Bucs.
I'm picking the Buccaneers at home here too. Let's the Bucks, Vita Vea right there in the middle, Levante David at linebacker. I feel like they're going to be able to not stop Derrick Henry, but I feel like they'll be able to contain him. And the Ravens are really weak in one spot on their defense, and that's their secondary. And Baker Mayfield's been slinging that thing. Chris Godwin's coming into his own now. Mike Evans is red hot. Cade Otton's almost impossible to guard coming out at tight end. I really like this Buccaneers team, Dave. I really do. I like what they're doing. I'm happy for Baker Mayfield.
Mike Evans hasn't practiced this week. He re-injured his leg. He's on my fantasy team.
Well, all right. I'm still gonna. I'll stay true here, and I'll pick the Bucks at home. I just like them a lot more.
Hey, Banji, thanks so much for giving us some of your time and picking along with us, and we look forward to chatting with you, if nothing else, next Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
Hey, come see us up in the booth tomorrow afternoon, all right?
Will do.
All right, Banji Bombadella, ladies and gentlemen. He is the sports writer for the Panama City News Herald, so if you're looking to keep up with your teams, he is doing a phenomenal job. This is ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. Coming up next, we're going to take a few left turns. We're going to go around the track with R.J. Starcevich.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast.
We're up to the minute weather reports all day long.
A chance of thunderstorms and moderate rain.
In-depth storm coverage.
Hurricane Helene.
And breaking weather as it happens.
We do have a tropical storm warning.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Thursday. Clear tonight with a wind coming out of the east-northeast at 9 miles per hour and a low of 52. Tomorrow morning, look for a gentle breeze and sunshine with a temperature near 70. The afternoon and evening, a high around 75 and sunshine with a wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. Saturday, warm with a high of 77 and sunshine. This weather forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Tired of flipping through channels and finding nothing good? Introducing Lucid Stream TV. Get over 2,000 live streaming channels. Catch every game of the season with over 100 sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN Plus, the NFL Network, and Red Zone. Even pay-per-view events. Watch local network channels from most major markets throughout the country. Fox, ABC, CBS, and NBC. Just $41.99 a month. Cut the cord, not the fun. To get Lucid Stream TV, go to ESPNPC.com and click the Lucid TV logo.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
Are you hungry for authentic Mexican cuisine? Then come to El Rodeo Tequila Bar and Grill, where we serve up the freshest, most flavorful dishes on the beach. El Rodeo Tequila Bar and Grill, a great location, comfortable atmosphere, and happy hour from 3 to 7. Buy one, get one free, regular margaritas and 12-ounce house drafts. And you're going to love their lunch specials Monday through Friday from 11 to 3. Plus live music Wednesdays and Saturdays starting at 5:30. El Rodeo Tequila Bar and Grill, Thomas Drive across from the Navy base.
He doesn't live paycheck to paycheck. He lives transaction to transaction. I need about $350. David Hayes is part of the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
You're back with the Afternoon Underdogs, tuned into ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. Also streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. You should like and share the Facebook feed and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also download the app and register 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Do we have a quick update on the Guardians-Yankees game?
It's still 2-1.
2-1. Guardians winning, and the Dodgers and the Mets will play later on this evening. Don't forget tonight, 6:30 coverage starts for the Broncos and the Saints. And then we've also got some college football games we'll tell you about in the next segment, as well as the third annual local Pop's Pig Pickin' Barbecue. But now we're going to go around the track with RJ Starcevic. He is the creator of the Motor Stardom page, and you can find that on Instagram. RJ, what is up, my man?
Not too much. It's that fun time of year where there's sports everywhere you look. I mean, you just said it in your preview for tonight alone. 3 big games. It's a lot of fun.
Yes, it is a lot of fun. You really can't even take your eyes off the TV, but that's the good thing about the world of information that we live in, is you really don't even have to watch games if you don't want to. You can just go through all the daggum highlights. But RJ, a big race last weekend at Charlotte. Give us a recap of that and how it went down.
Yeah, I think it was a race that led up to all the hype. You know, the Charlotte Roval is hyped up as something that's going to be very exciting, lots of drama, being the cutoff race for the next round of the playoffs, and on a road course that's built inside of the oval over there at Charlotte Motor Speedway. They made some modifications to the racetrack, and it proved to kind of increase the action. And we saw a pretty fun race, a lot of cars banging fenders, a lot of cars turning around, but at the end of the day, it was the man that comes out there, and when he wins, it seems like when he wins this year, he goes out and whoops the field, and that was the case with Kyle Larson in the number 5 car. Now, it didn't come super easy. He had threats from Christopher Bell in the 20 car for Gibbs, finishing there in the 2nd position. SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen, was looking fast as well, but unfortunately wasn't able to get the job done, got spun early in the race. But nonetheless, it's Kyle Larson getting the win. He was already advanced to the next round, but he just puts a stamp on it as he goes to hunt for his 2nd championship here in the next 4 races.
All right, so RJ, this is Chef Ross here. Who was your biggest surprise from the weekend?
I got to say, my biggest surprise, I got to give it to Austin Cindric, finishing in the 4th position. He needed to win, unfortunately, to advance in the playoffs, right? So he goes out and he puts together this incredible run, but gets eliminated at the end of the day. You know, they're happy and then they're sad when they realize they've been eliminated for the playoffs. That's just the nature of the beast, but certainly proud of them and what run they put together, and I'm looking for them to be right on track when we start next season in 2025.
On the flip side of that, who's your biggest disappointment?
Probably Ty Gibbs in the 54. He's already eliminated from the playoffs, but he's a guy that's been strong on the road courses all year. Unfortunately, just didn't pan out. They had an engine issue on that car, but which has been the case for a lot of Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas this year. There's been some engine issues all around in the Xfinity Series as well. So definitely was surprised by that one.
RJ, this is Kyle Wright. I think we met at Daytona last year, very briefly. So good to actually get an opportunity.
Good to hear from you again, Kyle.
Yeah, man, nice to actually get an opportunity to talk to you here for a moment. Alex Bowman, his penalty took him out of the playoffs. Can you give us your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so crazy stuff happened at the end of the race. You know, they say the results aren't final until they inspect all of the race cars, and Alex Bowman ran a tremendous race. He's had a tremendous playoffs. He finishes up near the top 10, and he's able to advance and almost, really solidify himself as a favorite to get into that championship 4, and then they inspect this car, and it's too light. And it failed inspection, and with that inspection failure, you go to the rear, your finish is disqualified, and by losing all of those points, that sent him below the cut line, and he was eliminated. So it's crazy, the emotions where you finish the race, you're in, your team's celebrating, and then 2 hours later, I think it was, you get told the news that the car was unfortunately not at NASCAR specifications. It was too light. They allowed the team to refuel the car full of fuel, because sometimes you say, oh, well, maybe we're just low on gas. They refilled it. NASCAR gave them every shot, and they were still disqualified. So just really, really heartbreaking for Alex Bowman, a guy that we've talked about on this show on Mondays about how, his job security was up in the air, and he's going out, proving everybody wrong, and then an inspection failure is what takes him out of the playoffs. So definitely heartbreaking for him and that team.
RJ, I follow every sport, but admittedly, I'm not like a NASCAR enthusiast or a racing enthusiast of any kind there. But is that something that happens a lot in that sport, or is that kind of more of a surprising thing?
It doesn't happen much in the playoffs. Now, sometimes early in the year, we'll see disqualifications, we'll see penalties, because I feel like, yes, in the playoffs, teams are still trying to get all they can get with the race car. But they also know the lines, because they know, okay, if we get disqualified here, this is our season. If we get disqualified in the 7th race of the year, so be it. it still hurts, still fines and everything, money, but it's rare that we see it in the playoffs, and especially a driver that was on the cut line. It's just such a big risk to take there. And for them not to appeal the penalty, which you can do, which was expected, but them not appealing the penalty kind of just, puts it out there to the public like, okay, they knew they did something wrong. They knew they were messing with something they probably shouldn't have, and it was a mistake on the team, and it just sucks that it takes them out. But definitely something rare in the playoffs. I can't remember the last time we've seen something like this in such a crucial race.
I think me and Chef Ross might have been about to ask the same exact question, like, why is it that Hendrick Motorsports isn't appealing this? So let me ask a different question then with Alex Bowman, and go ahead.
My question was, you said he was battling for his job, and then he was racing really well, and the only reason that he's disqualified or out of the playoffs is a disqualification. Is that something that's on him or on the team behind that?
Yeah, that's going to be on the team. The team that are building the race cars and everything like that, all the engineers, whether it was something, because it passed, the limit. There's an inspection before qualifying or before the race, and so all those things had been checked. So it's something that, that the team's messing with the race cars and everything like that before the race, something totally out of the driver's hands, Alex Bowman. So it's just unfortunate. I mean, Hendrick's taking the blame for it. It's on us, but, it doesn't take away the heartbreak from what could have potentially been a career season for a driver that's still young in this sport.
I mean, Denny Hamlin had a lot to say about it. Dale Jr. didn't want to speculate too much, but he said for the Saturday that they had, and they were on weight or in weight Saturday, you have to lose a pretty large component. I mean, what kind of a component in these light vehicles are we talking about that could cause you to miss weight by that much?
Yeah, so what they were talking about, it's an interesting thing, and a lot of people were talking about it, is something falling out of the race car because something did. Those, at this track, at the Charlotte Roval, at road courses now, they've been putting in these, they call them turtles. They're big bumps where usually, you'll see like curbs and rumble strips, they call them, that drivers use for the corners, for extra grip to get all they can, but they put turtles there now, so people try to not go all over them, and they'll fly up into the air. So Alex Bowman, around the middle, early part of the race, he flew over a turtle. All four tires on the car came off the track, and these cars, when they hit, they're so violent, and they're not meant to jump up in the air like a monster truck, but that's exactly what he did. And you can see on the guys on board behind him, Michael McDowell, that a piece comes out of the car, and while a lot of people speculated on what it could be, the general consensus around a lot of people in racing and even other engineers, it wasn't something that was that heavy to be able to make them that much underweight. So and especially Hendrick as well, knowing the video feeds there, knowing something came out, they didn't appeal it. So it just seems like, something fell out there, but they didn't feel like that was what had happened, and they seemed to know kind of what the issue was.
Yeah, that's definitely an odd situation, and it just, I don't know how I feel about, and so I don't know how I feel about something happening mid-race that's sort of out of your control, disqualifying you to the point that you lose your playoff positioning. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. If it was the case that, if that was the case that, okay, something flies out and that was it, that's incredibly frustrating. And I think if that was the case, Hendrick would have appealed it and said, hey, something fell out here. This wasn't our fault. And that's what I expected. But, them pulling back and not putting in that appeal just kind of, shows to me that they kind of knew what was wrong. I thought either way they were going to try and fight it. You see a lot of teams try and fight stuff, that they feel like they should win or maybe don't think that they will win, but they try anyways. I thought they were going to try and fight for Alex Bowman, but it seems like they didn't. They kind of just gave up on the process and said, okay, we know what we did wrong, we're not going to fight it, and we'll just move on.
So it looks like we have a little bit of a Connor Stallions ordeal here in the world of NASCAR. By the way, you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the line with the creator of the Motor Stardom page, and you can go follow that on Instagram. He keeps you up to date with all things NASCAR, specializes actually in the Xfinity Series, but we talk all things NASCAR here on the Afternoon Underdogs when we have RJ on. So tell us a little bit about that ongoing engineering scandal.
Yeah, so some came out over the weekend officially from NASCAR as well, and kind of a statement to the Associated Press that they're aware of a kind of a scandal going on. No lawsuits or anything filed yet, but the consensus of it is that there is an engineer that's over there at Joe Gibbs Racing who's in a contract year, likely going to be moving to another organization after the season, who's being paid or had been paid, whatever the terms are of the deal, we don't know, to give setup information from Joe Gibbs Racing under the radar to another team. That team is believed to be Richard Childress Racing, based on what I've heard. There's been some clues about it as well. We know, I mean, we talked about earlier in the season about how Richard Childress Racing had nothing, and all of a sudden they had something, but we just figured, hey, good on RCR doing what they needed to do. But now, apparently, coming out that RCR is the team kind of low buying some setup information from Joe Gibbs Racing. Now, this is something that, I'm sure has happened before in the past, but teams, the consensus among teams right now are worried that NASCAR won't do anything about it. NASCAR says they can't do anything about it unless a lawsuit's filed. And if they don't, that kind of leaves it open for things like that to happen in the future. So amongst all this, Michael Jordan, NASCAR lawsuit action, now we got this scandal coming out. NASCAR is that, we only got 4 races left in the season. I guess we can push some of this stuff to the off season, but still, it's getting crazy out there.
Since you brought it up, is there an update on the Michael Jordan lawsuit?
Yeah, so NASCAR came out with a response basically to 2311 and Front Row Motorsports, saying that they are preparing for a season where they only run 32 charters. So there's 36 charters in NASCAR right now, 36 charter teams that come out, race every week. The teams own the charters. But by reducing it to 32, they would essentially, mathing out, that essentially means they're taking away Front Row's 2 charters and taking away 2311 charter. Now, this has so many implications, obviously, that we could go on for days about it. But, the main part of it is that NASCAR is just kind of seeming like they're already preparing to take away 2311 and Front Row's charter, saying, hey, you didn't re-sign the charter agreement. We're just going to take away your charters and basically cost you a lot of money because when you run charterless in NASCAR, you come as an open team. Anybody can still race, but it costs significantly more to do so if you're not invested in the sport full time. So that is the current update on the deal. There's some court dates set for the beginning of November that already got pushed back just because of hurricanes, but it's going to be very interesting to see how this pans out. I'm sure there's going to be more about it week to week, but I'm sure we're not going to find out until we get into the off season.
So we're down to 8 here in the NASCAR playoffs. When is the next cutoff for the playoffs?
Yeah, the next cutoff will be in 3 weeks. So this is the final round where we have 3 races until we get to the championship 4. So we got Las Vegas this weekend. Then we'll head over down to Miami, down to South Beach at Homestead Miami Speedway. I'll be there for that one. That'll be a lot of fun. And then back up north over to Martinsville for the cutoff race and the cutoff race to the championship 4.
There we go. As always, we appreciate the update. Before we let you go, give me your top 3 for the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series over there in Las Vegas.
Yeah, over there for the Xfinity Series, same thing for them, same conditions, 3 more races. I'm looking at Justin Allgaier to be very strong there over in the Xfinity Series. I'm looking at Sam Mayer. He's at a ton of momentum right now. I think he's going to be fast when we get over to Vegas. And then Cole Custer as well. He's been fast there. He's the veteran here. He's got the most experience. He's already a champion. He's going to defend his championship. So I think he is certainly going to be fast at Vegas as well. And then over on the Cup side, I got to go with Kyle Larson. Tons of momentum right now and super, super fast at Las Vegas every time we go there. Second, I'm looking at Christopher Bell. Whenever Kyle Larson gets those victories at Vegas, right behind him is Christopher Bell. He's definitely wanting to get that checkered flag this time around, though, but I think he is certainly going to be fast. And then it's the final round. You got 3 races left. You got to kick it into high gear to get to the final round. I'm looking for Denny Hamlin to be really fast this weekend at Vegas and punch his ticket into the championship 4 down there in Phoenix.
Anytime you get my guy Denny Hamlin into your top 3, I'm always excited to keep up with the race. RJ, as always, my man, thank you so much for your coverage and what you do for the sport of NASCAR and, of course, for giving us some of your time. You have a great rest of your afternoon, my man.
Awesome. You too. Thank you, David. Thank you, all of you guys in there, and y'all have a wonderful Thursday.
Yes, sir. You too.
Make sure you go over there to Instagram and follow the page Motor Stardom. That is all one word, Motor Stardom, especially if you're a NASCAR fan. He just does such a great job. And if you haven't been following along with us or you're used to hearing his segments on Mondays at 4:20, my man is only 20 years old, and he's a wealth of knowledge.
So I didn't know that before we met him down in Daytona, and then I met him, and I'm like, Dave, this kid's like 14, man. Yeah. But, dude, he's a hive of knowledge, and what I love the most is when you can hear in somebody's voice that they're doing the right thing, like that they're in the right sport. Like, you can, the way he carries his voice, the way he talks, his sound sounds like he should be covering NASCAR, and it's perfect.
He does a wonderful job, and so thankful to him for giving us some of his time. When we get back, we're going to tell you about the 3rd annual Pops Pig Pickin' Barbecue. We're going to be talking about what college games we're airing, and then maybe we'll let a little NBA slide into, as Kyle just saw some of the news, and I had that on our very first page. To me, oh, man. Wonder why, Kawhi. But we'll talk a little bit more about that when we return. This is the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Are you ready to go under the lights? Mosley Dolphin football is back. ESPN Northwest Florida brings you live play-by-play coverage all season long. With David Hayes.
Touchdown, Mosley Dolphins!
And Kyle Wright.
And the interception turns into points for the Mosley offense.
The Mosley Dolphins take on rivals Niceville, Rutherford, and the Bay Tornadoes. Exclusively on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Thursday. Clear tonight with a wind coming out of the east-northeast at 9 miles per hour and a low of 52. Tomorrow morning, look for a gentle breeze and sunshine with a temperature near 70. The afternoon and evening, a high around 75 and sunshine with a wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. Saturday, warm with a high of 77 and sunshine. This weather forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Are you tired of hearing 2 weeks when you call to get your boat worked on? Hey folks, it's Chris Kramer with Kramer Marine and Outdoor, and we'll get you in and back out on the water as quick as possible. We're a full-line Yamaha outboard dealer and Suzuki outboard dealer, and we have master-trained certified mechanics on site. So if it's just an annual service, electronics install, trolling motor install, or all the way up to a full repower, we can take care of you. So stop by and see us in the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd next to Bill Kramer GM. Or call us at 850-851-0453.
Hewitt Tire and Auto. Call 850-769-7323. Your certified AAA service center and hometown towing. Visit them online at HewittTire.com. On Airport Road in Panama City. 850-769-7323. Hewitt Tire and Auto Center and hometown towing.
Need a tow? Call Billy at Hometown Towing, 850-265-1562.
Who was hired? Who was fired? Trades, drafts, and playoffs. We're talking about it.
That trade, when it was made, was the right trade.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, right here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. This is the Afternoon Underdogs right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. It's 104.3 Panama City, 101.9 in beautiful Port St. Joe. Man, we have had some great weather here in the area, and we have got some great football coming up this week. We'll get to all of those games in just a second, just to keep you guys updated. But first, we have a very important piece of news. Well, we've got a couple pieces of important news. One of those being the college football games we're going to be airing here, which is going to start at 10 a.m. tomorrow, Saturday morning. That's going to be the Auburn Tigers on the road taking on the Missouri Tigers. That game's the coverage starts at 10 a.m. Kickoff at 11 a.m. And then later on that evening, 6 o'clock, we'll get you to the coverage for Georgia and Texas. Kickoff at 6:30. We also have the 3rd annual Pops Pig Pickin' Barbecue. Chef Ross, I'm going to let you dive in here and just tell us all about this wonderful event.
All right, so November 2nd at the break room at noon, we're starting our 3rd annual Pops Pig Pickin' Barbecue. It's really tough to say fast. I don't know why I named it such a tongue twister,
Pops
but anyway.
Pig Pickin' Barbecue. Pops Pig Pickin' Barbecue.
1 o'clock, there's a pool tournament, $20 for dinner plate. It's going to be a meet and 2 sides.
Well, real quick, don't skim over the pool tournament, though. Tell people a little bit more about that.
The pool tournament is a handicap tournament where you get different spots. So it's a ranked tournament. We'll rank you based on your APA, UPA, Fargo. If you've never shot before, somebody there will rank you.
What about your NA ranking? Not available.
No injured list, so everybody gets their own rankings. But
nice.
So the lower ranking players, those that are not as professional, have a better chance of winning each game because every time we play the higher players, you have more aka winning balls. So if somebody is outranked by 4 spots, then they may get an extra 2 or 3 winning balls on the table that will help them out. It's a lot of fun to play, and I'm hoping this one's not as serious as a lot of the other tournaments have been, because with the rankings and allowing the lower players to play, some of the higher players get a little upset and testy that they do, but they're better. So suck it up,
Buttercup.
It's like
golf, kind of.
Yeah, dude. It's remember a couple of years ago at Frank Brown, and I'll let you get back to it in a second. But softball, there were some teams that had no business being in our league. They were giving us 17 runs to start these games, and we were still losing to some of these teams. But go ahead.
And then so dinner's $20. It's going to be, like I said, 1 meat, 2 sides. I know that Pineapple Willie's is donating me a case of ribs, so that's one of the meat options. Somebody else is going to donate me something else, and that would be the other meat option.
2 meats?
No, we're doing 1 meat and 2
Both
sides.
bracelets.
Oh, I thought you said someone else is donating you another meat.
Yeah, somebody else will be, so you'll have a choice of the
2
ribs.
meats?
Yeah.
So can I spend extra and get both meats?
Yes.
Okay.
So you got to buy 2 dinner tickets to get both meats.
Yeah, I'll probably throw I don't know. I haven't thought of the price yet, but
all right.
there'll be a 2 meat option for sure.
That's what we like to hear. I'm big back over here.
Yeah, and then the pool tournament is $15, which does include a $5 green fees for the break room keeping their tables pristine, which they did just refelt last week. So they're nice and smooth and fast, and the English you put on the ball actually takes on every one of the tables.
I like to put Spanish on mine.
Yeah, French.
I tell it, andale.
Nah, actually, on the diamond tables with the Samoan felt, you're screaming "whoa" more than you're screaming on delay.
Yeah. I bet. Whoa. It feels like you're on the greens at Augusta over there. This is such a great event. It's in honor of Chef Ross's dad, Ron Pops Robinson. All proceeds are going to be donated to Beach Care Services. They do such a great job in this area. So this isn't something that Chef Ross is making a single dime off of. This is something that is benefiting Beach Care Services in honor of Ron Pops Robinson. It's going to be Saturday, November 2nd from 12 to 6 at the Break Room, which is over there off of Joan Avenue. We got to thank our sponsors, the Break Room, of course, Pineapple Willie's, Boston Tim, and Pineapple Willie's. Just both of those characters. Both of those are pillars of the community. Re-Rack Sports Bar, of course, ESPN Northwest Florida, and then the coach's daughter herself, Leanne Swartzen-Truber. And then there's also something else that you have going on, Chef Ross. What would that be?
A week from tomorrow, I am going up to Valdosta, Georgia, and I'm going to feed the, I hate to call them hurricane victims, but those affected by Hurricane Helene. First of all, it wasn't that much long ago that people were coming to feed us because we didn't have power for 3 weeks to a month. We didn't have water going to us and after Hurricane Michael. And I felt like it's very important to pay this forward to somebody else. And also, over the last couple weeks, since the storm was brewing, I've spent a lot on my heart that 2 parables that I read in the book of Matthew. One is the parable of the talents. I was not the dude blessed with 10 talents that turned it into 20. I was more like the dude that was blessed with the 1 talent, but instead of burying my 1 talent, I want to go ahead and double it for the kingdom. And then the other one is the last parable that Jesus talked about, the well done, good and faithful servant.
Yeah.
You see somebody hungry and you feed them. You see somebody without clothes, you clothe them. You see somebody without a home, you shelter them. And those two things have been keeping me up late at night, but I also feel like this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Again, I'm not making any money off of this. Anything that we raise, which right now I'm $80 short of my $500 goal, so I really hope that my friends and family and Facebook people and the community comes in and helps me hit this goal tonight so I can rest a little easy.
You're $60 short now.
80.
No.
Oh, I'm 60?
Yeah, because
I got you there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, every little bit counts. It'd be nice for one person to come up and give that 60, but, hey, 6 people give me 10, 12 people give me 5.
60 people, give them $1, baby. Hey, no, but yeah, this is especially for people in this area. And there's so many efforts going out to all the different places that have been hurt by the multiple hurricanes that we've had to deal with as of late.
Also, looking back, guys, we got hit with one storm, and they're still rebuilding from Michael. These people got hit with 3 in a row.
Yeah.
3 hurricanes in a row hit these poor people up. So I can only imagine what they're going through, knowing what we went through with just the one storm. Now, Michael was bad, but still, 3 in a row. it's
tough because you get to start, you start to rebuild, and then before
wham.
you know it, it's right back to it. Yeah, very, very tough there. Kyle, do you have an update on and Chef Ross, first off, loved you bringing in the parable action of that. That was great stuff, and what you're doing here for the community as well. We appreciate you. So Saturday, November 2nd from 12 to 6 at the break room, 3rd annual Pops Pig Pick and Barbecue. And then we need to get Chef Ross $60 more so that he can get up there to Valdosta, Georgia. Right. He's going to be set up at a church helping people who have been displaced to an extent. Maybe not displaced, but just don't have power, and they might have been displaced from their very own homes. So,
and just one more time, how can people donate to you?
We can text the radio and 850-215-6290. David will definitely put me in touch. Go to my Facebook page, Ross Robinson, on Facebook. Send me a message. I will send you my Cash App or Venmo. Or if you see me on the streets, because a lot of listeners know me, go ahead and slip me a couple bucks. That works as well.
There you go. Kyle, what's the update on the Guardians and Yankees game?
We're going into the bottom of the 5th here, and the Guardians are still up 2-1. So Guardians looking good tonight. I got them to win, but Aaron Judge struck out again. I need him. I need a home run out of Aaron Judge.
Hey, there you go, man. A lot of people were thinking that maybe that home run that he hit the other night was going to break him out of the slump.
That's what I was hoping. Break the seal, so to speak.
What are we thinking about that series, though? Is it all over and said? It's over and done with? Is it the Yankees are they moving on to the World Series? And then we'll also talk about the NLCS. I say Yankees are going to get it done. I think even with the base running blunders that they had in Game 2, they're going to be just fine. I just think that the Yankees were great against the American League Central this year, and I don't think that stops here in the postseason unless the Guardians catch some Cleveland Indians magic.
Yeah, I mean, I think I do think the series will go back to New York. Yeah. It's 2-3-2, right? Yeah. So Cleveland they'll probably win. Well, I guess they would have to win 2 here, right? Because New York's up 2-0. So that being said, maybe not. I don't know, man. New York's just so much better. And the cool thing about this Yankees team is in the past there's been all the we're just talking about them spending all their money, going out and getting all these guys. But outside of Giancarlo Stanton and Juan Soto, this Yankees team is mostly homegrown. So I mean, this is a different feeling Yankees team. I really think they've got the team to go all the way. And Aaron Boone's a damn good manager, regardless of what people think.
And
I just got a text from the coach's daughter, and the $60 is covered.
Well, then there you go. So no more worries on the not no more worries, but Hurricane Helene, Operation Helene for Chef Ross is taken care of. But we still would like you guys to show up. If nothing else, show up to the 3rd annual Pops Pig Pick and Barbecue. We again, 3rd annual speaks for itself, but I want to see the break room absolutely packed out November 2nd, 12 to 6. Let's flip our attention to the NLCS here. Dodgers-Mets. Do the Mets bounce back tonight and win Game 4?
I think the Dodgers win tonight, but I do think this series is going to go 7.
I think that if the Mets won...
Well, real quick, it's Coach Walker.
Yeah,
who's gonna, okay.
I knew that.
Gotcha. She needs a shout-out, though. Coach Walker, because that's the whole reason why we got the coach's daughter. Back to you, Kyle.
She's the goat, man.
Right.
She's the goat. Coach Walker's awesome. We love her. I think it's going to go 7. That's the most fun series of the playoffs for me. I like the back and forth. I like the Dodgers beat them, and then the Mets come out and just put their face in the dirt for it. Then they come out last night and Shohei hits one almost out of the state of New York. And,
I think that ball did land in like Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, that was an absolute tank out of theirs. But I think it's going to go 7. I do think the Dodgers will get it done. I think we're getting the big money World Series this year that everybody's looking for.
I mean, normally I'm against it. I'm like small markets here. I think the further that we get into this postseason, obviously we're down to 4, so there's only a few options. Anyways, I would much rather see Dodgers-Yankees than I would Yankees-Mets and or Guardians-Dodgers, Guardians-Mets. I just give me the Yankees and the Dodgers, all the star power, all the eyes on the game of baseball, seeing what it's been growing into over the last few years.
And at the end of the day, I think that's probably what baseball needs this year, is to have the stars shining in the brightest spot.
But once I found out about the Brewer curse, I kind of want to see that live one more time since I put some money on it.
Hey, there you go, though. You can never go wrong with that. Well, Kyle, as always, great to have you on with us. Again, you can listen to Kyle again tomorrow night. He'll be on the Mosley broadcast. I'll be right there with him. We're going to have the pregame starting at 6 p.m., and then we'll get to the kick at 7 p.m. It's going to be a best-of show tomorrow afternoon. You got the Coach James House show coming up at 7 in the morning, and they'll be running until 9 a.m. Then the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey and Jay Henley will return at 11 a.m., and will run until 1 p.m., and then a best-of for the Afternoon Underdogs. You've been listening to the Afternoon Underdogs, and this is ESPN Northwest Florida. Keep it locked in. You've got a couple of minutes of Paul Feinbaum, then we'll get you out there to New Orleans for the Broncos and the Saints. Just remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I.
This just in. Get the latest sports news, scores, and updates from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Follow